Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm bringing back another classic. Today is the top 5 worst zombies bosses of all times. Now, I know I've already done this video twice, but it's astounding me as to the fact that how much my list has now changed after Black Ops 3 and also after Black Ops 4. So this is going to be rankings based off of how the boss can make a map unplayable or if the boss itself is just disappointing. So for example, I will not be including bosses such as the Margwa or the Panzer because I believe they actually make the map fun and not bad. And I guess you could say an exception is the Dreisendracht Panzer with his little grenades, but I digress. I don't think it's as bad as the list that we're about to go through. Also, this list can include final Easter egg bosses of zombies maps like the Keeper from Dreisendracht, for example. I'm not going to be including him, but for example, or it can include some zombie mini bosses that appear on the map occasionally or even frequently. We will also not include pre-patch zombie quote-unquote mini bosses because, let's be honest, the Tiger from 9 and the dogs on Blood of the Dead would also be at the number 1 spot because they could essentially one-hit you. But anyways, coming down into our number 5 spot, I think this number 5 spot has remained the same throughout all of these lists. It's the Denizens on Transit. I just played the map Transit for Blade's charity stream with RadAustin27 and MC Sportshawk. And man, oh man, even in the year 2020 in Transit, it is a terrible experience going around this map. These monsters, these little mini bosses were specifically designed for making the map unplayable. They wanted to keep the player out of the fog. And I guess they kind of made a good innovation with them by using them as the method that you need to transport. But man, the transportation system on Transit is all over the place. It'll bring you randomly. There's some light posts that are not even close to the diner. That's usually the place I always want to go to get some guns from the mystery box or even to get speed cola or the Galva knuckles, for example. It's just ridiculous. I wish, for example, they could fix it so easily, especially if Transit were to be remastered, by making certain light posts specifically teleport to one other light post. That way you're not just guessing and going after denizens repeatedly. They're ridiculous. If you don't have Galva knuckles also on Transit, these guys are ridiculous. You waste so much ammo on these fools and they give you zero. They give you nothing. They're designed to make the map awful. Even if they gave you 10 points, it would be so much better to at least able to have some money in the game. Because man, half the time, I swear, if you're not playing Transit without the bank feature, it is truly the worst zombies map ever. It is so bad. I cannot imagine playing it without the bank feature, especially when we played it for our first time and we had to save up all that money for the bank. Wow, never again. I'm not going back with it. But anyways, coming down to our number 4 spot, this has got to be, yet again, the Ascension Monkeys. Now, I don't know if I put these on my last 2 lists, but with the Ascension Monkeys, again, it's another zombie boss that really makes a map unplayable. I think they were turned down just a little bit in the Zombie Chronicles version of Ascension, and I definitely think they're better there. But like I've seen with a lot of tweets that were tweeted at me, if you do not have 4 players, you will guaranteed lose your perks at the start of every monkey round. It is ridiculous the way they spawn in. It's too sporadic. You can't tell where they're coming from. You really can't tell what perk you're going to get, so you kind of just have to accept that you're going to be perkless in high round runs of this map on that point of time, or you're using some sort of crazy strategy with the claymores or whatever. I don't really like it. I think maybe if Ascension had something geared towards destroying those monkeys, it would have been a much better experience, but there really is nothing. Claymores are your best bet, and man, don't even get me started on playing this map solo. Oh my goodness. Again, literally past around 30, you are literally just hoping for the best situation with these monkeys because they will take your perks and they're gonna make the map unplayable. But coming in at our number 3 spot, we actually have a 2-way tie with this one. This is going to be the Blood of the Dead Brutus boss and the Zetsubo no Shima Takio boss at the end. Now, both of these bosses suffer from the same problem in the fact that they're just way too easy and they're kind of trivial. I know I talked to Rad Austin and he actually likes the Blood of the Dead Brutus fight, where it's kind of a contrast from these hard boss fights to something nice and simple and easy. And obviously it's Brutus for Blood of the Dead, so he's already kind of easy. I know he was buffed up in Blood of the Dead, but again, Brutus is just not something that, especially when they scale him up and they're like, oh, this is the boss, guys, enjoy. All this time we could have just brought in something else, but you know, the Brutus again, like, it worked for the story that they were trying to tell, but yet again, I just think it's not that fun. It's kind of lazy. All you have to do to really kill him is shoot the orb, stay inside, stay out of the gas. I have died from the Brutus boss fight because I am trash and I went into the boss fight at like round 40-50 with like barely anything. I didn't know how to beat the boss, so it's yet again, it's another thing. If you don't look up an Easter egg guide, I guess he's okay, but if you do, unlike most of us do, it's really going to be an easy experience that you're finding, and especially with the Zetsubo no Shima Tokyo version as well. Man, as soon as you get the Masamune, you basically win that fight. The actual bosses you're fighting at the Zetsubo no Shima boss arena are the Thrashers themselves, because these Thrashers have gotten up to such a point in the game where they're so buffed and they can literally tank you down. They are the reason that makes that boss fight hard. They can one-hit you, I believe, even with Juggernog, so it is really crucial to stay away from them. Maybe not one hit, but I know they could definitely get your screen red. But the Zetsubo no Shima Tokyo, it's really a time-based boss fight. You're there, you're sitting there, you're running around, getting rid of the spiders, getting rid of the Thrashers and whatnot, and you're just shooting the Masamune at the spot that he brings out. Somebody said to me, it's like you're shooting his pimples or something. I'm like, okay, get that out of here. But anyways, coming down to our number 2 spot, this has got to be the vampires on Dead of the Night. So I know a lot of people may have not played Dead of the Night. This is the first DLC for Black Ops 4. I totally understand there really wasn't any marketing for this map at the time, but the vampires on the Dead of the Night map are terrible. The reason why they are terrible is because when they hit you, you actually get paused on your health meter in Black Ops 4 for about 4 to 5 seconds. And if you get hit on this 4 to 5 seconds, it's like losing another hit. You don't regenerate health, and that is the problem, especially when the Dead of the Night not only releases vampires, but there's a part of the Easter egg where you actually have to release this red alpha vampire, and he does even more damage to you, and on top of that, he has a move that can stun you among the zombies and bring you down to 1 HP. If you do not have Dying Wish, he is going to destroy you, and especially if you're in a horde and he catches you, oh my goodness. And on top of that, on Dead of the Night, you have to bring the stake as well to even have a remote chance to kill him, which is a huge process in itself. And oh my goodness, it makes this map almost unplayable in my eyes. I know a lot of people don't really mind them just because they're really good with the Alistair's Folly, or they know how to play the map, or know how to get the stake or the crossbow, but man, it is such a tedious process, and it's really one of the reasons why I don't like Dead of the Night. The enemy variation in something like 9 is incredible, but when you go into Dead of the Night and you have tons of vampires, I'm talking tons. There are times in the high rounds I see like 4 to 5 of these red vampires coming at you, and it's like, oh my gosh, they got these speed. They're like literally Naruto running at you. It's like, holy moly, let's calm this down and let's just not ever have this again. Any zombie boss or mini boss that stops you from regenerating health is a serious threat, especially when they're coming at you in major numbers on every single round. But anyways, coming down into our honorable mentions, I wanted to do something a little bit different with our honorable mentions. I wanted to bring in zombie bosses that I think the community would say would be the worst, and kind of say why I don't think they should have been on this list. I know one of the biggest boss fights that people dislike in Call of Duty Zombies is the George boss fight in Call of the Dead. He's not really a boss fight per se, but he's a boss that looms around the map. Now, obviously, I'm a little bit biased in a way because I love Call of the Dead, and I think that George Romero, you know, I did put him on my top 5 worst zombie bosses, but hey, we all have different opinions, and now that my opinions have changed and I've seen how the way Togger Totem works, I really like George being in the map. He's such a rewarding boss. It's not like you kill him like the Thrashers per se in Zetsubo, which is also another one of my honorable mentions, where you don't get anything and they can multiply. Like, that's ridiculous. George Romero is a boss that is rewarding. Sure, he might have a lot of health. Sure, he might be more annoying and you can't camp, but that is what makes him so much fun, in my opinion. Plus, rest in peace, my man, the father of zombies. It's incredible to even have him in a zombies map, especially knowing that he has passed away. Rest in peace. But again, let's talk about the Thrasher now. The problem with him is the spores on the map. It's kind of like the map is working against you, and every single zombies map, I guess it is, but you can really feel it with the Thrashers, especially when you walk by with a horde of zombies next to a spore and they become Thrashers and then they multiply, and it's just ridiculous, especially if you're trying to do the Easter egg and the challenges you got to do where you kill them while they're mutating or whatever the hell. The Thrashers are awful. I do get that, but I don't think they would have made this top 5 list. I think they're quite easy to kill. They're kind of like Brutus, or maybe even like the Manglers from Grod Krovi. If you just sort of know where the weak spot is, you can pretty much deal with them quite fine, especially if you have a gas mask on Zetsubo. Now let's talk about this one, the Blight Father from Black Ops 4. I don't think he's bad, especially because of the weak spot argument I kind of brought up. If you shoot him on his meaty back area where he has these large legs, but if you shoot him in the back, that is where you can do a ton of damage, and I've never really found him as a major problem. Sure, his tongue grabbing move can be a little bit glitchy, and I know there's a ton of glitches with that initially, but I think now that that's been patched, he's really not that bad. He's kind of just a little bit more powerful, maybe a little bit more beefier Brutus in a way, but with a little bit more abilities. You got more spit that you have to watch out. I know projectiles from zombie bosses are definitely some of the worst things, but again, he comes like every so often. He's really not that bad. If his spawn rate was increased, like if you're playing Black Ops 4 with only Blight Fathers, yeah, it can get crazy. Yeah, they're gonna do a lot of damage, but with 1 or 2, it's really not that big of a deal, especially if you're rocking like the Kraken from Voyage of Despair, or if you have the Scorpion, or even if you have the healing on Salvo, you'll be okay. And the last honorable mention I wanted to bring up was the Astronaut from Moon. I really hate this guy. I think he would be at like my number 6 spot. I think these 5 are truly the worst, but the Astronaut, man, I played Moon as well with Red Austin and MC Sports Hawk recently. He's awful. He's terrible. He respawns. He gets more health, and he can take away your perks, and he just looms around the map so he can just hide in between these corners, hide where you can get those PES systems. He's terrible. I absolutely hate him. Do not like Moon because of him. Does it make the map unplayable like something like the Vampires? I don't think so. I don't think it's unplayable per se, where it's not like a constant barrage, but he's still quite awful. But anyways, coming down to our number 1 spot, this was actually a recommendation that I got from someone named Eric Maynard. I do believe in this, the number 1 worst zombies boss of all time, and I think a lot of it has to do with disappointment, is the Revelations Shadow Man. Now, the Shadow Man was built up in Black Ops 3 to be this absolute challenge of a zombies boss, and all we got from Revelations was when you enter the boss fight arena, we are doing the same thing that we did in the Shadows of Evil boss fight. You have to shoot something, you have to protect the summoning key, throw the summoning key at Sophia, and then that's it, really. You have to shoot the Shadow Man, hold X on the book on the Chronorium, and you will get him done. It's a really easy boss fight, and for him to be the major villain, the number 1 villain, I remember before Grod Krovi happened, or when we saw the Revelations cutscene, I thought the boss fight was crazy. Like, I love the arena of Revelations, but the boss fight is so underwhelming. I was thinking, where are all the Margwas that he's gonna spawn in? Where are these crazy mutations of all of these Apothecans, and even potentially even Keepers that he could spawn? It would have been a massive battle, and I honestly believe that it was cut short because of the Black Ops 4 production. I understand that they were making boss fights like the Elephant from 9 at the time, or even the Eye of Odin from Voyage of Despair, so there was a lot of different things that Treyarch was working on, and unfortunately that development time had to be cut out of the one of the greatest zombie maps ever to be released in terms of hype, in terms of popularity. People were so excited to see this boss fight, and as soon as we realized it was a rehash of what we saw from Shadows of Evil, it was truly the number 1 worst zombies boss at that moment and could not be beaten, because man, oh man, It is truly disappointing. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me down in the comment section what type of top 5 you want me to upload next. I think I got a couple more. But anyways, thank you again so much, and we'll see you, ladies and gentlemen, in that next one.